One of the questions that was asked was about training techniques for naturals as opposed to users. And to be honest, I wouldn't have said there's that much difference, because I think intensity, weight used, etc., naturally increases with assisted athletes, whereas a natural, obviously, these things are slightly less. And so you don't get the extra stimulus of the extra strength from the anabolics. You don't get the overinflated damage that you would do with anabolics. So therefore, the training can be very similar. Now, when it comes to training, I'm a big fan of time under tension. And I think I've spoken about this a bit before. Now, basically, when it comes to a lift, there are three elements: muscles, tendons, and skeleton. Now, as a power lifter, you try and transfer as much as a load from the skeletal frame. Why do powerlifters at the top of the deadlift lean back? Because they don't want the muscular structure holding the weight, so they transfer the muscular structure through the skeletal frame. So that's minimizing muscle recruitment, and it's maximizing everything else. So with a powerlifter, you try and make the lift as easy as possible. With a bodybuilder, in my opinion, you should be doing the exact opposite. So you try and make the lift as difficult as possible. And one of the ways of doing this is removing tendon and skeletal frame support. So what do I mean by this? Well, take the deadlift, for example. When you get to the top of the deadlift as a powerlifter, so you lift up from the floor, you get up, you let your hips go forward, and you lean slightly back. As a powerlifter, as a bodybuilder, come up to there. You are ever so slightly forward. At this point, drive the elbow backwards and the upper arm backwards. So you push your chest through and you pull your scapulars back. But you don't lean back to push your chest through. You stay slightly forward and then push your chest further forward. This keeps the load on the muscle, on the back. And the contraction of pulling the elbows back emphasise the overall contraction of the back, and that the load focuses on that area. Return to the floor and back up again. So, a lot of this is about thinking how the muscle works, thinking about where it attaches, and thinking the levers that it makes. Lateral raise, people go up and you see them like this. With the hands forward, then your lever points are there, but also there. So this becomes a pivot point, and this becomes a pivot point. So if I wanted to work anterior delt, all of a sudden I'm now medial delt. I'm now working anterior delt because of this motion. So get it out to the side. Plus, the longer the lever, the more the perceived load at the point of hinge. It's like putting a weight on the end of a very long stick. It's so much harder to control. Bring the weight closer to you, it's easier and lighter. When I see a really strong example of this is lying leg curls. If you have a lying leg curl with an adjustable pad for your ankles, move that pad further away. So it just sits at the back of the heel and it remains there throughout the movement. And you'll find that the stimulus within the hamstring is a lot greater. One, you've got a longer lever, so the load is a greater perception at the point of pivot. But two, you're not cheating the movement by the pad lowering down and shortening the lever. Triceps, don't lean forward. Keep bolt upright. Keep your body weight out of the movement. So for a lot of this, it requires quite a bit of focus, and a lot of people don't like doing it because it means going back to basics and it means lowering the weight. But if you say to someone, Logbooks. I hate logbooks. So you say to someone that your focus is going to be reps and weight, and that's what they'll focus on, at the cost of nearly everything else. Very few people are disciplined to maintain form when it costs them reps or weight. I hate logbooks because generally for most people, there are exceptions, but for most people, it'll cause them to focus on beating the logbook all the time. And the first thing that goes is range of motion and form. We want to stimulate as much muscle fiber over the greatest range possible. Therefore, we'll stimulate the biggest amount of growth. So you want to do full range movements. Also, at the bottom of a movement, a very slight pause. See, when you do the negative of a movement, tension builds up, energy builds up in the tendon. Now, if you return straight away, you get a little bit of tendon rebound. So the first part of the movement is the tendon. If you pause only for a quiet second, that tension dissipates, and then when you pull, you're pulling purely with the muscle. And don't explode. Because we're not powerlifters. We're not looking to explode the motion. We're looking to engage the muscle. So a nice, controlled, steady pull all the way through the range. Because if you jerk or you pull hard, you explode from the bottom, the load transfers again. It goes away from the muscle and into the tendon and into the muscles, into the skeletal structure surrounding the muscle group. So it's one of the reasons why powerlifters explode, to transfer load. So it's really the opposite to what most people do. Another trick is TUT, slowing it all right down. And then you've got no choice but to make the muscle fiber fire throughout the full range. But this is an excuse for going light. You still need to push the weight. And with TUT, you can go as low as 2 and 3 reps because you're doing 10 seconds on a rep. So your time under the load is still the equivalent of a 10, 8, 10, 12 set rep, depending on how quite fast you rep. And the other thing is, you get a bigger build-up of lactic acid in the muscle. Now, I don't think this has a massive impact, but that waste product signals inflammation, which in turn signals growth factors. And it's part of the recovery process. So the more pain you can generate, to a degree, the more growth factors you're going to release. So that old saying, no pain, no gain, actually has some truth behind it. You know, the more pain you endure, the more growth factors you'll signal. Training to me is probably the most important part of the puzzle. Diet isn't overly complex. Keep it clean, even off season. But the training, you've got to max it. How many guys you see move big weights but have no muscle mass? Because the muscle isn't moving the weight. Momentum, tendons, bones are moving the weight. So you do the exact opposite. Your whole focus should be to make the exercise harder. Put yourself at a biomechanical disadvantage. Slow it down. Feel the movement. There's no excuse, like I say, for going light. You still push timber. You'll still go heavy. But you make sure the muscle is moving. And then you gain the ability to flex. Tens, shoulders, delts, tries, back, whatever. But you'll feel, because you have so much better mind control over the muscle, so much better connective link. And that means the load is focused on the target muscle more effectively. You do more fiber damage, therefore you have more signals for growth, and then all you need to do is feed it. So, and I generally prefer a medium volume but a high frequency. So I train, and a lot of my clients train on a 3-on-1 off and train 6 days a week. And people go, well, this doesn't work. It doesn't work for natties. Well, hang on a minute. I've got one client, 5 weeks clean. He's put on 10 pounds. He lost 2 inches off his waist. He's now got abs coming through. He's the best shape he's ever been. He's not touched gear yet. I've got a guy on keto who's lost fat but gained muscle size. None of these are using, and they're still getting dramatic. And these guys have been training 5, 6, 7 years. Well, the guy on keto's got a 320 kilo deadlift, so they're not starters. because for the first time ever, they're focusing on muscle engagement. They're focusing on maximizing fiber recruitment, therefore fiber stimulus, therefore growth. Now, once you get to a point with this style of training where the pain is intense, you're massive pumps, you're really feeling every rep, the feedback's incredible, then you change it. And you go to a set limiting workout. Now, this is a workout where you minimize the number of sets you're allowed. So bear in mind, we've just come off workouts where we're getting massive pumps, tons of feel, big burns, feeling great. Then I turn around and say, you've got 12 sets to do your chest, and that includes warm-ups. First set workout's going to be shit, I guarantee you. You're going to feel very little, and you're going to be pissed off because you want that feeling back. This causes you to maximize the intensity within your workouts. And so you do a very basic 3 exercises for chest, 4 sets on exercise, 6 rep range, just push heavy weight. And you'll find your strength's gone up because you've pulled all your component lifts apart and you've isolated the individual muscles. Now when you put them all back together again, the sum of the parts is greater and your power's gone up. You move more timber and you stay at this, pushing the weight for a few weeks. But after a few weeks, the focus on form and such like, it's going to start to go. So you go back to the TUT stuff, but this time with higher weights, and you stimulate all the fibers again using higher weights, therefore greater growth. So how do you feed this? Simple. Keep it simple. I don't work in macros. I've never worked in macros. I do track through weight, through food weight. I don't work in macros. I've got a rough idea of what macros are in rice and what macros are in the various meats. And it is ballpark. Because none of us know our true energy expenditure from day to day. None of us know our true protein intake in the way of absorption from day to day. None of us know exactly how much protein we need, so it's pointless to me. You just get obsessed with numbers. And you end up focusing on the wrong parts. So I start on my diets a little bit under, a little bit deficit. And I stick to the basics. Greens, rice, potatoes, sweet potato, chicken, beef, pork, fish, turkey. Oats. That's basically it. Lots of salt, because I've got a very clean diet at this point, low sodium diet, so I need salt. I need salt for contraction, I need salt for water transference, and I need a little bit more because of my kidneys. And then I monitor my hunger levels between each meal. And I slowly, and I mean slowly, as in 10 extra grams of rice on this meal this day, or, 20 extra grams of steak in that meal on this day. And I slowly tweak it up, and I slowly tweak it up. Now, before I do this, I go keto. Not because I'm trying to lose fat, because I want to increase insulin sensitivity. The more sensitive I am to insulin when I go back on a carb diet, the better nutritional shuffling I'll have. Nutrients will shuffle better into the muscle, glycogen disposal will be better, and I use products like berberine to improve that insulin sensitivity and to keep it protected when I go back into carbs. When you think about calories, think about money that you can spend on nutrition. Now, this is only my opinion, so, I'm just telling you how I do things. So, when it comes to fats, proteins and macro and carbohydrates, greens we put to one side. Healthy greens, fibrous greens or anything else are just a stay that go in a diet. I don't really count them in when I'm doing my calculations. I don't really do the calculations in the first place. So I don't go on a percentage, because if I start on 3,000 and I'm gaining, I might end up on 5,000, 5,500 by the end of this bulk. So if I start with 20% fats at 3,000, then that means I've got 600 calories worth of fats in my diet. When I get to 5,500, I've got 1,100 calories worth of fats in my diet. Got a lot higher fat. I don't need that extra fat. I need a minimum amount of fat for healthy function. Beyond that, I don't really see the point. You're not going to be keto because you're using a carb fuel. So why have extra fats? So I keep my fats on a grammage. And as my food increases, my food sources get leaner. And you do stuff like slow cooking to strip fat out of meats and chickens and such like that. So calories are money I can spend on nutrition. So if I've got 3,000 calories to spend, I want to spend that wisely. If I say to you, here's £1,000, go out for the day, you're not going to think twice about getting a taxi into town. You're not going to think twice about, no, I'll have a bit of this, I'll have a bit of that. You'll spend money as if you don't really need to. If I said, here's 20 quid and go out for the day, you're going to be very careful. You'll walk or catch a bus. You'll be more efficient with your money because you've got less to spend. So think about that with calories. A gram of protein is going to cost me 4 calories. A gram of carbs is going to cost me 4 calories. A gram of fat is going to cost me around 8. So spend your money wisely. If I know I need 50 grams of fats to maintain minimum function, then I'll take 50 grams of fats and I'll spend 400 calories in doing that. But I'm over 2006, I'm not going to spend on fats because I'm not getting any extra benefit. So what I'll do with that is I'll spend it on carbs and proteins because they're what's going to fuel my growth. As simple as that. If you have a cheat meal, that's fine. But you are reducing the calories you can spend on nutrition. And if you choose foods that are complex, that require a large amount of energy to eat, fibrous, complex meats, those sort of things, then you're going to burn calories in consuming your food rather than sticking to oat shakes and weight gainer shakes. You'll burn calories. So I might then burn 300, 400 calories a day in actually eating and digesting my food. So my 3,000 calories I have now become 3,400 because I've gained an extra 400 calories from the energy I'm spending just digesting the food I'm eating. So therefore I can increase my food take even more. I won't gain fat because I'm technically not in calorie excess, but I do have an excess of nutrition, which fuels my growth. And that's my approach to diet. Simple, really. Nothing complex there. So training, it's all about fibre stimulation initially. And it takes about 3-4 weeks to fully get into TUT work. And I use a hybrid system. So it's a mix of TUT work and heavy compound work. And then I do the set limiting work, and then I literally flip between the two. And I'm a very instinctive trainer, so I've got to a stage now where I'll be like, I need to put TUT in on my chest, but I'm really feeling the power in my shoulders, so I'm going to go heavy on my shoulders for the next 3-4 weeks. So I then don't have everything working in the same structured way, and I might have 2 body parts running on TUT, and I might have the rest of them running on heavy cycle, and then things get swapped around as and when they're required. But that's how I approach my training. Maximum muscle fibre stimulation done through a controlled manner over the greatest range. And I just literally try and make exercises more difficult, more awkward. And I go by the muscle response in feel as to how it works. And this does work. I do it with my clients and they grow like weeds. And this same approach does not have to be for assisted or unassisted. It works for both. The difference is when you're assisted, your strength goes up quicker, you do more weight, you do more damage that way, and therefore you need an enhanced recovery. Naturals, you don't get that boost in strength, you don't get that boost in damage, so then you don't need an unnatural assistance for recovery. But it's also about listening to your body, it's about knowing when to take time off. You know, clients come back to me and say, I'm tired all the time, drained. Okay, take a week off. What? Take a week off. It throws them, but you need to manage yourself. And we all have busy lives, we all have jobs, we all have kids, missuses, families, whatever it may be, and those stresses can get in the way. And we all have to live, so sometimes a bit of time off is essential. You know, when you look at people that train 1 body part per week, there's 52 weeks in a year. So if you train 1 body part per week, you get 52 chances for that body part to grow. Well, actually, no, you don't, because you're going to be off sick sometime. You're going to go on holiday at some point. Gym's going to be closed a few days. It might be 50, it might be 48, it might even be less. If you train that body part twice a week, you double the opportunities for it to grow. Second point, if I do 30 sets for my chest over 1 session a week, then and I choose 6 sets per exercise and 5 exercises, that last exercise and possibly the one before, the weights I'm moving are going to be diminished because I'm going to be fatigued. But if I choose 3 exercises, 5 sets an exercise, the strength in my last exercise is going to be greater, which means the poundages I move are going to be greater. Then when I go back to do that muscle group again, it's going to be the same scenario. So the overall load I've moved in that 7-day period is greater. If I've moved more weight over that fixed time period, I've stimulated more growth. And then again, feed it. Add anabolics in. Don't have to be fancy. Test oxy, all the old school shit works. Keep it simple. The harder you work, the harder the drugs will work for you. Give them a reason to work. And they will. And you'll find you're using lower doses, you're fitter, you're healthier, you feel better. Sounds a bit ironic coming from me, doesn't that, talking about lower doses? But it does really work. But people are scared of hard work. People don't want to graft. But if you ease into this and you do a little bit at a time, and I quite often put clients on 4-day cycles, 3-day cycles, as in training cycles, and then we'll increase it by a day each week and a week and a week, and slowly build up the volume and let them settle in. Slowly over time, the intensity will increase, the pain thresholds will increase, and you'll just ease into being more efficient with your training and training harder. And that can't help but stimulate growth. So it's probably a bit backward from the way a lot of people do it, but I'm all about making the muscle work, stopping the tendon from working, and stopping the skeletal frame from taking load. So when you see weights I've done, they've always been done in a very generally and now controlled manner. That doesn't mean you can't do cheat reps either. It just means you're very aware of when you put them in. And you do them in a way, a lot of people go on about Bradshaw, I know his training form shit, he just throws it around his platform. But for all you know, he could be getting massive stimulation because he's got such a good mind-muscle connection and he feels the movement very well. Because I know that's what happens when I throw cheat reps in. I only throw them in when I've got the power there and I've got the connection. And you'll find that even with my heavy cheat reps, where there might be a lot of swinging, moving that weight to start with, the negatives are always controlled. I always make sure I lower that load under control to maximize the efficiency of that part of the movement. Forget about weight and reps. Don't make them your sole focus. Focus muscle stimulation on fiber stimulation. We all get caught up in how strong you can this and the thing is, by training this way, you do get strong. I'm just getting back into my training after fanning about for months. So I'm doing hybrid TUT work. And I've done some ropey 4-plate benching a couple of months ago. Not really done anything controlled and consistent. Now I start putting TUT work in. I'm now back up to 3.5 plates, but it's controlled. I'm feeling the load in the chest. I'm feeling the chest move the weight. It feels so much better. And there's no needles. I'm not having any problems with this delt where my pec tear is or anything like that. And that's how I boosted my benching when I went up to 5 plates for reps, was the TUT work. At that point I was using 3.5 plates on TUT, and I was ripping 5 plates at regular rep speed. And regular rep speed for me is about 1.5 seconds up, 1.5 seconds down. So that's roughly my tempo when I do regular reps. Varies a little bit, but it's there or thereabouts. And like I say, if you make that the focus of your training, stimulation and not moving weight, initially you'll see a big weight drop, but it'll come back, and it'll come back sooner than you think. And then when you go into power work, you'll see the benefits of it all, and you'll grow like a bloody weed. Anyway, I suppose I shouldn't have really told you all my deep dark secrets, should I? But it's not difficult. There's all sorts of tricks and tweaks to maximise and increase intensity within movements and increase focus of reps and movements, hand positions, grips, all sorts of things. You're just going to play around, find out what works for you. Spent 20 years experimenting. And that's where I'm at now. I'm very instinctive with my training now. And it seems to work well for me. Anyway, so that one was basically some people requested about training techniques and ways to do it, whether you're natural or assisted. I don't really see a great deal of difference. Both are good, and you just crack on. But it's going to be hard work. If you're going to promote growth, it's going to take hard work. Your body will fight change, and if you're not working hard, you're not going to get the results. It definitely is that simple. So you need to work hard. Right, I'm going to get off, get this video up, and I'll try and do a day in the life of tomorrow. It is, what time is it now? I started at 6 this morning, it's now 7:30. been a long day. Tomorrow's going to be even worse. So I'll try and give you a little bit of a picture into what my regular day is. It's not exciting, but I'll give you a bit of a picture into what my regular day is like tomorrow. Okay, guys, thank you for your time.